because we all have back-to-back things going on.
Shall we start, sir?
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Good afternoon, distinguished speakers, respected panelists, colleagues, and all participants from Asia Pacific. So, on the behalf of Asia Pacific Association of Agriculture Research Institutions APARI and the Asia Pacific Community of Practice on Food Loss and Waste, it is my great pleasure to warmly welcome to you all session, which is third innovative and circular approaches to minimize food loss and waste. And today I'm your host. My name is Deepika Trivedi. I'm working on a party. And before we start this session, I would like to reflect. We start a powerful, thought-provoking discussion in our first session, which is Silent Famine Asia Pacific Hidden Emergency for Food Loss and Waste. In this keynote speaker, Dr. Ravi Khetrapal, which is drew attention to often overlooked scale of food loss and waste in the Asia Pacific region, which is stressing in its serious implications for food security, nutrition and livelihood, and sustainable development. And our second session was new strategies on handling waste in animal agriculture system for controlling GSE emission. And the focus shifted on towards climate action. Professor Pramod Pandey from UC Davis University shared practical insight and policy-oriented approaches to reducing greenhouse gas emissions from animal agriculture system waste. And our session was building on this session led by Professor A.K. Dixit from IIT Bombay, explored management of food waste, technological options, highlighting innovative and scale technology, managing food waste and strengthening sustainable food system across the region. So together, these sessions have set a strong foundation for informed dialogue, innovation, and collective action under the FLAW Corp program. To continue our endeavor, we delight to welcome well-known global expert speaker and our panelists who will share their knowledge and experience on circular economy, approaches to food loss and waste across the Asia Pacific region. With these, pleased to officially open our fourth session, Flow Corp session, and we will move forward our impactful session. And I'm open to today's session. It's my honor to invite Dr. Ravi Khetrapal, who's Executive Director in Asia Pacific Association of Agriculture Research Institutions. And Dr. Ravi Khetrapal has extensive experience in agriculture, research management, international cooperation, and policy engagement across the Asia Pacific region. His leadership focuses on strengthening regional research network, advancing sustainable agriculture, food system, promoting innovative driven solution to address challenges related to food security, climate change, and sustainable development. May I kindly invite you, Dr. Ravi Khetrapal, please deliver to your opening remark. And now over to you, sir. Please, sir.
Thank you so much, Deepika, for this introduction and for setting the stage. Well, friends, we are into the fourth community of practice on food loss and wastage, and welcome to you all. Today, we have very eminent speakers who will be speaking on the various aspects of circular economy, vis-a-vis waste reduction. And to begin with, I would like to inform you that the first keynote speaker is Professor Binisha Payatati. She is the Executive Director of International Institute of Waste Management in India, in Bangalore. She is a leading expert in waste management, circular economy, and sustainability with a rich experience in research, policy, advisory, capacity building, and international collaboration. Her work strongly focuses on sustainable waste system, resource efficiency, and circular economy, driven solutions that contribute to environmental protection and climate resilience. She will deliver a keynote on circular economy approaches to tackle food waste, strategies, system, and solution. She has a very rich CV, and which will be sharing with you all, because if I speak about her background, it will take the whole time of the webinar. So with this, I stop here. May I invite you, Professor Benisha, to kindly share your presentation? And there will be a panelist after you whom we will introduce later, and they'll be asking you questions if they have any. So,
Sure.
Professor Benisha, over to you.
Good afternoon, And thank you so much for the introduction and also for this opportunity. In fact, this circular economy is definitely a pet subject for me. But on food loss and food waste as a specific topic, this is the first time that I have got an opportunity. So thank you so much for that. I've always been looking at this in the broader concept of waste management. However, specifically just on food and food loss, this is this is a first time. So I'm really happy about that. Usually, whenever I talk about circular economy, it is the first thing that comes is various technologies and looking at how the technology works, how it, I mean, what are its flaws, and what how to tweak it. However, when it comes to food loss and food waste problems, I noticed that technology takes a little back seat. And that is what is going to be my presentation, because you will know how why I am giving this as a prelude. Um, yeah. Is my screen visible?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, I would like to ask everyone as to what do you think is the kind of, whether there is any food waste in the forest ecosystem? As,
Yeah, just hang on.
yeah,
Sorry, Ms. Benisha.
yeah.
Mr. Iradat Oladijo, can you please be on mute? Yeah. Can you be on mute? Thank you so much. Yeah, please carry
Yeah,
on.
there's a lot of disturbance.
Yeah, no, carry
Thank
on.
you. Thank you
Sorry
so
for that.
much for
Yeah,
that. Yeah, thank you so much.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So in a forest ecosystem, what is the kind of food loss and food waste? Or, have you really thought of it? This is minus the people in it, because today forest also has people in many places. That's why we have these indigenous people's, issues and all that. And especially because I was in COP 30 very recently, and that was one of the major issues which was discussed. But keeping them aside, if you really look at the forest ecosystem, what is the kind of food loss and the food waste? Uh, can anybody think about it? Is there a major issue there? I just want to know yes or no from the audience.
I think, ma'am, this
Okay.
question we will start on open session, so they will
Okay,
audience will
fine.
start.
That's right. Yeah. So, what I would like to say is that actually, if you look at any kind of forest ecosystem, you really do not see waste as a problem. But if you look at the entire value system of food, does forest produce food? Yes, it produces. And are there food losses in that forest because they produce? Because you have all kinds of food there, even in the forest also, which is produced. That is from the plants, you have fruits and leaves and all that, which are used, consumed by animals, insects, birds. And but still, you will not see this as an issue. If you see, does food get transported in the forest? Yes, because many times, even if there is a kill by a cat, that is the tiger or lion, what it does, it transports that waste to another place. And there is also that's even if it is all birds, they also do that. So even if, although there are transportation of waste, do you really see losses in transportation in the forest? No. Does forest get processed? Food get processed in the forest? Yes, because there are many animals which actually crack open the pods and then take out the things inside. If it is animals, they deskin and then they eat the food. But even then, even if there are so much of processing which is happening, there are no losses while processing. Does food get stored and distributed? Yes, in forests, every day you see this. And with all kinds of animals, birds, insects, you have this distribution storage which happens for another time. And there are losses. However, it is still very, very minimal with all this. So, does food get consumed in the forest? Yes, it gets consumed. But do you have waste management problems? Which, from all these, we really know that it does not have any kind of management problems. However, when it comes to the human world, what happens is the same system, the same kind of production, transportation, processing, the entire value chain, if you look at, you see that there is loss at every stage. And at every stage, it also has a lot of impact, environmental impact. And there is also resource strain, which happens. And this I will be dealing with it in depth later. But if you look at each stage, these are the percentages which is also which a lot of research has gone into it. um, and if you see the last stage, that is the treatment and disposal, this doesn't add up like that, because all these waste, finally it's almost 35 to 40% of waste. It's not just in developing countries, but also in developed countries, this is the situation. So if you, I mean, this, the overall point which I wanted to make is that the waste generated here in the human ecosystem is, it also is toxic, and many types of waste remain in the ecosystem for a longer duration. That is the packaging waste, and also certain toxic waste which comes in. Now, the first lesson learned here is always look at nature for solutions, because you have seen the same kind of system in the nature does not have any issues, whereas when we are doing it, we have an issue. So what is the point here is that nature has circular or closed loop solutions to take care of all the waste. And now to also go into some of the interesting facts and figures. Who are these people in the human ecosystem, which is actually, I mean, who's the worst or who's generating more waste? If you look at it, of course, China stands first in terms of overall total quantity of waste. That's because the population is there. However, India should have been first, but China is first here. The reason is because of affluence. So that if you look at the next graph, you will appreciate it better, because per capita food generation, food waste generation, if you see, it is the highest in United States. Then if you look at all those countries, all of them who are more affluent have it. There is also cultural angle to it. However, mostly it is because of affluence that you generate more waste. If you also look at another interesting fact, 2/3 of the food loss is pre-consumer, and that is until from the farm until the distribution area, and after that is the I mean, so maximum comes there. And 25% of, like, water is an important factor which is used for growing food. But here again, if you look at the situation, the statistics, you clearly can say that 25% of this water which is being consumed, actually all that is going, it is used for food that is not even eaten. So it's actually a criminal waste. And 3.5 billion people actually who don't have enough food to eat, you are depriving them of the food by wasting it. So this is an important aspect. And if you look at food waste and the climate change contribution, because today we think that we can just eat and then dispose things, and but all that is also adding to increase of temperature in the earth, which is something which everyone is concerned about. And here, if you look at that also, the first country which is the highest generator of GHG emissions due to food is also China, then United States. So if you look at the GHG emitter from the food, again, you have it in the different areas. So agriculture production, you have a lot, land use, but the maximum generation of food waste, which is GHG emitter, is also, I mean, if you put together China and United States, that is the quantity which is being generated, which is also very alarming. So the lesson two, which we learn from here, is proper strategies are enough to solve most of the issues of food waste. So if you look at the entire thing, strategizing is the key here, and lifestyle changes is the first step. So with that, I will go and going to the next point, which is how does the nature try to bring balance in ecosystem, because we have to learn there. They have mastered it over all these years. So that's the first way to look at. So from there, what the scientists have actually come out is that even with a little bit of interference and all that, it is able to actually maintain. I'm not going into all the complexities, but both abiotic and biotic interactions have been really in balance. And they have also learned from species interaction, the entire web of life. So if you actually look at that, this can be replicated even in our systems, even in cities and villages. And here, the first and foremost thing is again the waste hierarchy principle, the inverted pyramid. So the first thing is decision making and strategy. So rethink and refuse maximum, because there are a lot of things which are just, there is no necessity for such an food to exist at all. And the kind of processing and all that. So then reduce the usage to the maximum, reuse, recycle, because people today usually think that if you can just eat or make as much and then recycle it, that's a wrong principle. And that is what I want to really emphasize on. And then only recover, because you can recover, but there is a lot of energy being spent there. So these are things which should be done only if the other reduce, reuse, and those kind of things are not possible. And if you look at the current system followed is that linear kind of a system where take, make, consume, and dispose, which we have to totally do away with. And because for every dollar spent on each of these food items for recycling, recovering, and all that, and it is we are actually spending more on health, environment, and economic costs. So this is the circular economy principle, where all the nutrient cycles come back, which is what is in the nature. And that is what we will be looking at in the next slides. Yeah, so how can you replicate the system? We have been able to master this in zero waste farms. Now here it is a small kind of an ecosystem. So we are able to kind of tweak everything and get to a near nature kind of a situation. But we know that 65% of all human beings are in the living in the city system, ecosystem. So how do we then tackle that? Now here we have to increase the horizon. The sphere is larger. There are losses, there are logistic losses and all that. However, we can also, this if we do a proper strategizing with proper policies and even management techniques, which has also been tried and tested in several cities. So this kind of a system, which is a circular system, can exist for the food in cities also. Now, how do we do that? How do we understand this specifically under this mechanism is the circular economy system. here, I won't go in depth into this, but if you look at this, for every kind of a waste that is generated, just like how it is in forest, it can be utilized, and reduction in energy and external resource spending can be very minimal. So bioeconomy and circular economy goes hand in hand. And so the lesson 3 here is, for all this we need to understand in depth of where how much of resource is being used, which means you have to go to life cycle assessment. And for each commodity this is necessary. Earlier it was you just generate a waste and then at that point you look at how to manage that waste. But today it is not like that, because that way if you do, there are many things which you might be spending more energy, more resource for it. So you have to go from scratch, find out every single step involved in making that product. Then only you can actually come out with a proper strategy. Yeah, here I'm sorry that this slide is not very visible, but this is mainly for the research people as to how to strategize. First of all, even before LCA, that is analysis, you have to look at life cycle thinking, because unless you have that life cycle thinking, you will not be able to find a proper way to reduce food waste. And here it's not just the supply chain optimization and technology interventions and all that, but also finally waste recovery and recycling. So to reach that, you need to find out what kind of LCT you will have to do. Yeah, then the next one is about, I mean, in the entire stage, like starting from production, if we look at the LCA and LCT, changing our food system. Because here what happens is sourcing food grown regeneratively. That is one of the example is organically grown food, and locally where appropriate, because this again is a very, very important step. In fact, we had an entire session even in COP to discuss this, because if you look at this figure there, you will see that what is important is, there is a trade-off which has been achieved to have a proper place where you can grow and then use it. It has to be 20 kilometer. More than that, I mean 20 doesn't mean exactly 20, but around 20 kilometer should be the peri-urban region in which this entire food should move. More than that, you are actually expending more energy. So when we design cities, when we design food systems, we should always think of all local growing and local usage and consumption. Designing and marketing healthier food products as per the geoclimate. Now here again, there are, I have seen this, I mean, throughout the world now, this is what it is. It's a fad. There is something which is in the Western area, which people consume. We also want to consume that, thinking that that is more healthy. Or, quinoa is grown in South America, and we have ragi and other things, millets, which are in our own areas, but we still
Professor
like to
Tanisha,
eat that.
sorry for
Yeah,
interrupting. We have
yeah,
5 minutes left. So I
sure.
hope. Thank you,
Yeah,
ma'am.
yeah. So, and then make most of the food again. Here it is, how do we employ technology to actually process the food in the same place, in the same locality? And there is also one example here where we can actually grow food even in the city locality. That has been also very encouraging these days. So that's also another possibility. The next one is about the transportation. Here, there are three key best practices. Everybody thinks transportation means you should have very sophisticated cold storage, a vehicle and all that. But the studies have clearly shown that if for short duration, for distances, is where you should actually target distribution. And for that, you can also have very simple, this is an FAO study, and this has also been promoted by them. Simple kind of mechanisms of transport is also okay, but we need to be very clear on how to preserve the food and very minimal losses, how to avoid. So there are trainings which is also being done here. Yes, on circular economy, here again, I would like to say this is the picture which should be in mind, because whatever is the shortest possible way to bring back the whole thing from the scratch, starting from the and moving back into the cycle, is what we need to look at when we are thinking of processing of the food. And here, one example here is, for 1 ton of the food waste which is generated, 390 kg of, you can process it to chicken feed or any animal feed. And liquid fertilizer can also be obtained, and water can also be conserved with this. So this is one very clear study which has come up. And for another example, which I would like to say, like why food processing should not start from the beginning. See here, what happens is, if you take this cornflakes, this was food processing should be merely just to create a big market and for huge economy. So what they do is, the corn which is not even being consumed by the rest of the world, today the entire world is depending on it. And the production of corn and also the cornflakes processing, when you don't require it at all, in fact it is detrimental to the health, still people are being, it is being pushed into the market. So we should not have those kind of food. Those kind of food should be totally discouraged. And fresh food, 80% should be consumed. And if you look at, so these are all circular economy principles. Distribution of food, again, minimize the unsold food items by proper inventorization. Packaging is an important thing here. And we have been working on a lot of packaging of food, how to reduce the kind of packaging, how to make packaging very eco-friendly. This is a very big subject that will require a separate talk itself. And another important thing is extended producer responsibility. This is a very good economic measure which can be applied for food and food packaging. And if you also go to the consumption, what I would like to really bring about is the household purchasing. So this inventory control softwares are available today. It's a good mechanism. So here there is a technology intervention. I recommend decentralized technology for these kind of things, especially for food. We should always not go for big scale. We should always think inwards and start from the households. And even plate wise, these are all known very well. And organic waste penalties should be very high, because we have been now trying to do this in municipalities and corporations in India, and that is kind of working very well. Because earlier, for food waste, nobody used to pay for it. But today, I think that is where the maximum penalty should be levied. So a lot of policies are necessary. And treatment and disposal, everybody thinks biogas, biomethanation, but that should be the last resort for, especially for food waste. That should only be encouraged in the processing areas for managing their food, but not as a, for an entire city and all that. Again, waste to energy, that's a no for organic waste. Waste to energy is good for other kind of waste, but not for organic waste, which is wet waste. Packaging material which cannot be recycled should be subjected to these. And 5 strategies are properly needed, so that, I mean, that's the lessons learned. Food waste is a system failure and not a disposal issue. So if we do the management at every single value chain, then you won't have anything left for treatment and disposal in the last stage. So 4R principles, that is reduce, reuse, recycle, recovery, That should be the key. Okay, to conclude, food loss and food waste is not a waste. Um, it is misplaced value. So we have to learn from the nature. Circular economy helps in close loops and protect climate and also build resilient systems. And for food waste solutions, decentralized home or institution based small implements are what is to be needed, not big technologies. There is a lot of scope for a lot of startup ideas, even from simple cleaning, because I do a lot of startup mentoring, and what I've realized is these are the ones which has a lot of scope for large scale production also. And if you see all these blenders and all that today is very very popular, and many startups have been making a lot of money with that. So simple cleaning device to clean the milk covers or milk bottles, these are the technologies which we need to really look at. Container storage equipment which can compress, pre-treat, or pre-process, so that for even logistic losses and logistic methods for transporting all these waste, bulk waste, will also get reduced. Tracking devices, AI, machine learning, and supercomputing, all these can also be applied here, mainly to make sure that waste does not move too much. So how to have this inventory control within small areas, within the apartments, that is what we should be targeting. And simple grow your own and techniques and technologies for growing simple food within the homes and institutions, that's also a technology intervention which should be done. There are several examples which is being also used, and it is developing. This is an area which is really coming up now. So thank you so much. And if there are questions, I would be really happy to. Uh, so I've just given you some points. I've not gone in depth into any of these ideas because I thought this would be more of a food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benisha. It has been a very succinct presentation, very comprehensive. And I think you said you only gave the points, you gave everything. And the message you gave is very important, what we have to learn from nature. Food loss and waste is not a waste, it is a misplaced value or resource, and how we need to go back to nature and learn from there to have a systems approach. Nature has a system, but we have not really formed a systems approach, which was more man-made. It was very interesting. Every part was well covered. And I'm sorry we may not have much time for question right now because we are running short of time. But maybe again we'll get back to you. Thank you. Thanks a lot once again. Well, you can unshare the PPT if you
Yeah.
don't mind, Dr.
Yeah.
Benisha. And well, friends, now we will move on to our next speaker, who is a panelist here. She is Dr. Miss Miyuki Eliyama from JIRCAS, Japan. And JIRCAS is a member of APARI as such. And she will be giving you very brief overview of JIRCAS. And then she will come back to the subject as she has extensive experience in agriculture research management, research collaboration, strategic planning, and she has been focusing on strengthening research framework, fostering global partnership, promoting evidence-based policies, to address food security, climate change, and sustainable development. From Jirka's point of view, she'll share the insights with us for promoting research and innovation for sustainable food system, including bioeconomy technologies. Ms. Miyuki, over to you and requesting you to finish in 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be invited as a panelist, and thank you so much to share opportunity to be participating this with Dr. Benisha and also Dr. Kabir. And thank you, Dr. Ravi and Ms. Deepika for this opportunity. Before asking Dr. Benisha, I just want to briefly introduce JIRCAS because although JIRCAS is a part of the APARI members, many of you may not know. JIRCAS is Japan International Research Center for Agriculture Sciences. It's one of the Japan's national research institute, but a dedicated sole institute dedicated to international agriculture research and forestry and fishery. Because it's only research institute dedicated to international agriculture, we are yes, sorry. We are tasked to do international collaboration, especially in the area of developing countries, developing technology suitable for Asia and Africa. And then I just want to introduce one of the technologies and innovation developed by my colleagues. Although Dr. Benicia was talking about the sector for food waste and loss, one of the interesting, important issues in the agriculture sector, food system as a whole, is like agriculture waste, industrial agriculture waste. And then, for example, especially relevant for Asia Pacific region, Malaysia and Indonesia have a very big oil palm industry as a sector. And then they have generate a lot of agriculture waste, oil palm trunk. And then they said after cutting the tree, they usually leave residual in the oil palm field. And they are being degraded, and they can be a source of methane emissions. And then the methane emission, also they attract pests and diseases, and then it can degrade soil. So it can also induce uncontrolled deforestation. So my team has been developing innovation technology to recycle these unused agricultural waste into value-added products like pellets, biological plastic, and some energy sources or something in collaboration with other companies and other research institutions. And this is one way to recycle the agricultural waste. And then given that the oil palm is used as a raw material for edible oil, food processing, although it can be also used as a detergent or pharmaceutical, this is one of the areas innovation can contribute to fixing the contribute to circular economy. Yes, that is my presentation. Maybe I will ask Dr. Benicia later the more questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Miyuki, for being so clear and so succinct on what you have been doing on vis-a-vis the circular economy. I'm really grateful to you. I think we will have questions at the end. Either you may ask or you may be asked question. We'll see how it goes. Well, friends, now I have a pleasure to move on to the next panelist. She's Dr. Kavya Dashora, Associate Professor of the Indian Institute of Technology at New Delhi in India. And she was working for Center for Rural Development and Technology and Yardi School of Artificial Intelligence. Now, Dr. Kavya's work actually lies at the intersection of rural technology, artificial intelligence, and sustainable development. She focuses on data-driven and artificial intelligence-enabled solutions for agriculture, smart resource management, and inclusive rural transformation, supporting technology-enabled pathways for climate resilience and sustainability. So she has a very comprehensive kind of a background and contribution to be a panelist and give something new in addition to what we are hearing so far to the whole discussion on food loss and wastage. Kavya, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. And good afternoon, everyone. I am so honored to be a part of this panel. And as Dr. Khetrapal sir has already said that we are running out of time and there is enough momentum built on the topic. So I would directly come to the point. I just have a framework of this, like first understanding and explaining the problem from my perception, and then providing a proposal of solution. Since we are from different countries and we all have little to contribute and collective the impact would be more, so we can actually start building on that, and if it is found suitable, and we can also improvise it. So I would actually consider the food waste, food lost and waste, as a triple planetary crisis, wherein it gives rise to climate change, it gives rise to biodiversity loss, and also to the pollution. This is one of the third biggest contributor of greenhouse gases and biomethanation. It is a real big problem, and the problem is it is not a downstream problem, it is an engineering problem. It is a habit problem. We had been hearing for the two presentations before that people have a habit of buying, storing, wasting. And this needs to stop. And this is very cultural. People need to go back to the culture of smaller plates, decisive portions. I would also say that FLAW, or food lost and wastage, is not something which only we are talking about it and we just finish talking. There is something which I need to draw your attention to. Despite of the fact that it is responsible for 30% of the global emissions, it attracts only 4.3% of global climate finance. Sir, this is a red flag which you may like to take forward to all your UN FAO meets, because this is something which is really, really challenging. We need your help to pressurize the Global Finance Committee to enhance the budget. We are deficit on budget on this aspect. Then I would also say that in the landfills, there is $1 trillion economy which is just laid unexplored, because the first thing when we speak about food waste, we always think of composting as a resort. Food waste, just do the composting. Composting should be the last part. When nothing can be done, it is you cannot extract anything valuable, just compose it. Meanwhile, there is a huge big step of valorization. I write a lot about valorization. I work on valorization. There are two, three valorization examples I can give you. Like when we use potato washing in potato value chain, there is a co-stream or side stream which is being produced. Most of the vitamins, proteins, and minerals are water soluble. They just get washed away. And that co-stream go into the soil or water body and cause eutrophication. So that is a climate problem it is in making. So if value addition can be done or valorization can be done, many of the things for which we are continuously using chemicals and then discharging them all in the soil can be prevented, and maximum amount of value can be drawn from the food. So whatever is remaining can be composted. So therefore, kind of it is hypothetical. I know it is little unrealistic, but making a system which has minimum waste as contribution. Then the FLAW per se as a theory or as a concept should be embedded in NDC or national determined contributions. Sir, you have been traveling pretty much in every part of the world and speaking about to the agencies who deal in food security. So there, the national distribution contribution is very less understood about. I mean, people don't consider it as a very powerful force to drive the important agenda through. So if we can embed the FLAW mandates into the NDC, every country is going to tweak it accordingly and lay it down, or it can trickle it down to the citizens. I also feel that the use of technology like AI, like biotechnology, like blockchain can be, sir, if we can, and my esteemed panelist would also agree that if we can track our Amazon parcel, our gift, our cakes for birthday, we can track where our food is getting produced, consumed, stored, and wasted. It needs to be traceable, it needs to be trackable, and we have technologies, but just we need to use them or apply them as the food mechanism. Then I would also propose a small framework of the FLAW can be, the framework can be measurable, verifiable, reportable system can be developed. Sir, when we used to do annual appraisals, there used to be a smart appraisal. So, there used to be how much is measurable, how much is tangible, how much is workable. So that, because hypothetically everything can be done. But when you embed a framework to a concept, that means a tangible framework to a concept, then it becomes very convenient and very monitorable, that how much we have been able to achieve and how much we need to do an effort. And this needs to be a collective effort. So one of the panelists had given a very beautiful point of growing the food which no one is eating. So waste management is a usually a sink for such food when nobody is eating, and it is disturbing the environment, wasting the resources, the precious resources, non-renewable resources like fresh water and soil, or less renewable resources, I can say. So waste management can be addressed from the spectacle or lens of nutrient valorization. If we are able to do that, we would be able to address a lot of low cost but local nutrient supplements, local nutrient food options, which can break the monotony of whole vegetables or whole fruits, but different carry forward or just packeted food and fruits filled with nutrients and which are locally grown. So, sir, I only have at this point, I would rather say that FLAW is one such benchmark which can shift economy from disposal economy to rescue recovery economy. Sir, these are my some points which may add to the noble thought which is being prevailed right now. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Kavya, for really coming up so well in a few minutes from a disposable economy to a rescue economy, as you rightly mentioned. I think you summed up very well with a lot of action plans or a lot of points to be taken for all of us. And one important point I liked was to have a tangible framework with the conceptual thing, the concept we have. I think there's a lot of good points which have come along with the use of technology and all. And you further strengthen the point on like the waste is actually not the waste, how we can make it as a fortune for all of us. Well, thank you so much. And what we have seen so far with the panelists and all the keynote presentation is a message where the nature, what it has given, and our old grandmother's household advice, which we cannot overlook. Even if the tap is open and a few drops are coming, she'll shout at you, just put off the tap properly, no wastage. So the grandmother's advice, and we can see here, every speaker, panelist is a woman. It is more a habit of a XX chromosome, I say, which really help you to waste management. And for me, as a gender, women have a very important role to play. They have been the main promoter of avoiding waste. And from this, we shift to another woman. She is Ms. Sandunika from FAO Sri Lanka, and where I was there 2 days ago, and I happened to hear to one of her colleague, Carmela, who proposed me she was traveling to listen to what uh, Sandunika has to offer. She is a technical and socio-economic innovation specialist at the FAO Sri Lanka with a PhD in food science and technology. And her specialization is packaging. So, which Dr. Binisha was also highlighting a lot, very important. So, she brings a slightly different perspective, I believe, in the overall discussion on food loss and wastage. Over to you, Sandunika. You have 5 minutes. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, over
Uh,
to you, I said. Yeah.
yeah. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you very much for inviting me as a panelist today. It's a pleasure to discuss. Uh, it's a pleasure to discuss circular economy approaches to tackle food loss and waste, focusing on practical strategies and enabling systems and scalable solutions. Food loss and food waste remain one of the most critical challenges for the agri-food systems today, with significant impacts on food security, natural resources, and climate change. Addressing this challenge requires moving beyond linear take, make, dispose models towards circular approaches that emphasize prevention, recovery, redistribution, and value addition. Against this backdrop, I pleased to introduce the circular project, which provides a structured framework operationalize circular economy principles in the Asia Pacific agri-food sector. Actually, this circular is implemented under the Global Gateway Framework funded by the European Union in collaboration with FAO, GIZ, and Expertise France. The project targets the persistence of linear production and consumption models that drive food loss, food waste, and inefficient resource use. In Sri Lanka, these inefficiencies affect food security, environmental sustainability, and also the economic resilience. This project aims to accelerate the transition to the circular agri-food systems by reducing the food loss and food waste. And also, we are focusing on the alternatives for single-use plastics. And then, sorry.
We can see your presentation, Sanganika.
Miss Sanudika. Are you audible, Miss Sanudika? We can
Yes.
see. I think she's on mute.
Yeah. You're on mute, Miss Sanganika.
She is on mute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
please give
please.
me a few minutes.
Okay.
Okay, sorry for that. Actually, there's
No
some
issues.
technical
Tell me.
error. Yeah, I would like to briefly describe what FAO brings to this project. That means the FAO addresses food loss and waste through the integrated technical and socio-economic interventions. This includes the scalable solutions for MSMEs that improve the supply chain efficiency and food recovery and redistribution networks to direct surplus, safe and nutritious food into those in need, and valorization former foodstuffs into animal feed, maybe the biogas compost. Likewise, in parallel, FAO supports alternatives to the single-use plastics by promoting sustainable packaging solutions and advances the capacity development to enhance the food and financially literacy and foster the public-private partnerships. Together, these approaches uh, embedded circular practices across the multiple levels of the food sector.
Mhm.
This is also about how we are going to do the project, and this is circular economy interactive tool. This is one of the things that we are doing as an initiative for the advancement of the circular learning in the agri-food sector. Building on this, the circular project promotes circular learning through the circular economy reference tool. This platform integrates circular practices across 52 value chains, categorizes technologies, maybe emerging, scaling, and established, and enables stakeholders to identify both immediate and long-term opportunities. This tool supports the reduction of food loss and valorization of the byproducts, and also embedding the circularity across the supply chains, linking technical innovation with the practical investment opportunities. Also, from this tool, we ensure the circularity by adding the value for all the resources which is retained across the food value chains. This includes the reducing losses through the improved design and adding value to the underutilized components, especially also repurposing the co-products and byproducts from both food and also from the alternatives for plastics side. For example, if we go to the fish and seafood byproducts, it can be transformed into the fish meal, pet feed, and all organic fertilizers, while residues from the livestock crops, also fruits and vegetables, they also can be repurposed for the feed. As the professor told, compost, bioenergy are the least uh, paths that we can go from the organic waste. However, we can go to other value additions from those loss and waste. Therefore, those things are described in this interactive tool, and uh, for the adults, maybe the who are engaging with the agricultural things, and entrepreneurs can go into this tool and they can learn what are the paths that we can go for from the particular food component. If it is wasted, as an example, if the a particular paddy husk is wasted, how we can go to the valorization of this paddy husk, what are the technologies involved, those are the things now we are working on from this project. That is one thing. And yeah, that is the one thing that we are engaging. And if you need to get more information on our project, that because we are working in the circular economy section, so we invite you to be a part of the project working group on the circular economy, and you can contact us. And also, if you need any, if you have any expression of interest for this, you can join with us, and I will share the link also. Then you can go to it and you can see how you can participate to this circular economy project. Okay, thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Sangunika, and thank you for making sure that everyone is a part of your circular potential, and we get the whirlpool of these people who are contributing towards the circular economy or food loss and wastage. And finally, I think that will make the things happen if we work as a community, not all alone in silos. Okay, friends, we are overshooting time. We have 2 minutes left, but with the permission of all of you, we will extend to another 5 to 10 minutes, as there might be question answers which people may like to have. And I will request people who have some questions where they're expecting a long answer, please write your question in the chat box and we get back to you. If you expect a short answer, like a question from some gentleman, Sokhen Koram, to Ms. Binisha on how to avoid the food loss at the household level, yes, I think Ms. Binisha can
Right.
respond to that quickly. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. See, there are many methods, but one of the simple methods which has been tried and tested is using certain apps. This was tried in some of the localities for the zero waste in gated communities. Some apps which are there at present is No Waste, then Kiche, Olio. There's also Too Good to Go, Karma. It's nothing, you don't need to really download an app, but you can also have a simple Excel spreadsheet or even a bookkeeping wherein you need to know what are the food that you are buying, and in that you need to know what kind of packaging is there, what are the fresh food. So these kind of knowledge, it's just common sense. If you have and if you note down every month, this clearly will help you to cut down on things which you really don't require. That itself reduces a lot of waste. But using this app, it is really good because it also tells you your carbon footprint. And this has helped to streamline food reduction at homes. And we have tried a similar thing even in the campus, in the mess. And there it is, the moment the plate is emptied before they are going to wash it, each of the student, when they are emptying it, there is a display of what is the quantity which is being there. So there are certain benchmarks and thresholds which are there, and it will give a red flag to them. and next day, if there is a very high, they're fined, and it also gives them a guilt feeling. Next day, they will try and reduce it by taking less food from the buffet. So these kind of things have really helped. I think at home also you can try and do this, but I really say feel that you need to have records. Only then you realize how much you are wasting, and if that numbers
Yeah,
are not being matched,
yeah.
that guilt feeling does not come. So that's one very good method to reduce waste at home. Yeah,
Thank
there
you,
was
Ms.
also
Binsha.
one more question for me. That
Yeah,
was, I think I saw why China and US is having a
yeah,
higher carbon footprint with food waste. They have
yeah.
carbon footprint for everything, but food waste again, they are the highest. The reason is because they only look at markets, increasing the economy, which means you need to produce more, because when you produce more, you get more money. So that kind of a system, which is a very skewed system, especially for food and for every consumerism, that is what is actually making these countries the highest food. I mean, there are other reasons and all that,
Yeah.
but I mean, food, this is one of the major reasons.
Thank you, Ms. Benisha, for this very apt response. There was a uh, hand raised by Dr. Manoj Kumar, and it's down now. Dr. Manoj Kumar, you still believe in
Yeah,
asking a
yeah,
question
yeah, yeah,
quickly? Yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, please carry on.
Thank you, Professor Khetrapal, and all the speakers. Thank you very much. I am only saying to one minute that in our country, in India, especially the food waste is majorly in the religious and marriages purpose or in the functions, because people when started eating in the system of buffet, that is the major problem in our country, and we are wasting lot in our country, especially. But in rural areas till date, in like the North India and maybe in the South India, but people are still using the old practices and they are eating whatever required. But in buffet system, so we have to control that, we have to provide the food to everyone. Don't take food to in the baskets, to you have to take your own. So that is the major
Thank you.
aim. It will conclude. It will be
Thank you.
the lower down.
Thank you, Dr. Manoj Kumar. Very important social aspect. I will request FAO and to FAO Ms.
Yes, yes.
Sangunika to find some FAO guidelines to how to eat food in the Indian marriages or Sri Lankan marriages or maybe in
Yes.
Asian marriages. And I think that is a good point which the FAO should take note of to make it a regional or a global way of how not only marriage in the ceremonies, in the big functions and all, how we can avoid
Yes,
wastage.
yes.
It's a
Yes.
wonderful point. Wonderful
Yeah,
point.
we are working on that also. So that means on the food recovery and redistribution, we are working on how we know there are several losses of after these kind of buffets and wedding ceremonies. So how those foods can be given to the needy persons. If it is there are
Right.
leftovers, we are working on those guidelines now.
I agree with you.
Okay,
This
thank
is very important. At least in the
Yeah.
marriages, or we all who are on the screen will be very careful, those who are not married. But that is something we all have to look into. And even in Ramadan, in the Muslim community, we see there's a lot of wastage early morning to when the food is taken and all. Someone was mentioning in one of the previous a webinar. Well, okay, then we move on to one question. If there is any tangible framework to a concept, Dr. Kavya, you were mentioning about that. Is it possible to share any tangible framework to a concept of food loss and wastage?
Sir, I have a preliminary framework, but I am depending very heavily on you to develop it based on
Ah,
the global
okay.
experience. So this was just like I can give you the kaka, the framework of it, but adding the global flavor and making it very much realistic to policy. That I think it needs another round of discussion, but the primarily framework I can definitely share.
Thank you so much. And to say, Mr. or Miss, I am not sure, say we will get back to you once we have some bullet points from Dr. Kavya, and we'll try to see if we can have a framework along with the proceedings of the of this webinar to share with you all. Thank you for the question. Now there is a question from one Mr. Akhilesh Kumar on the post-harvest issues in the field. I don't know if you all have read. That is something we need to. I saw that question somewhere. Uh, just let me, yeah. What he's saying, he's an horticulturist. He says we have concern about agro-waste management after crop harvesting at the field itself, like potato and tomato. Yeah, and then what he's saying is uh, that after harvesting the crop, they're generating too much foliage and dumping in the field. Since they cannot use the cattle field, as in case of wheat and paddy, due to high glycoalkaloid content in their foliage. If composting is last option, what else could be possible solution to deal with such agro waste at field level? Because Dr. Kavya, you were mentioning that composting should be the last option. So I give you the privilege to, or the challenge to answer this question, both. Yeah. Kavya, if you are there, if not, anyone else among the panelists who can
Sir,
respond?
please, I'm here.
Yeah. The question is, if composting is the last option, what you highlighted, if I remember,
Yes.
what what else could be the possible solution to deal with some agro waste at field level? He gave an example of an agro waste. Yeah.
Yes, sir, valorization, because like agro waste, the most common problem in one of the states in India is the stubble burning, and that is the real reason for pollution.
That's right.
So if we have nano composites, which we are forming, or if we
Yeah.
make biomulches, or if we apply nanotechnology and make nanoparticles out of it as nano fertilizer, or maybe nano products, if not nano,
Yeah.
at least valorization and biomass based products, like there are very biodegradable products. The earlier we used to use aluminum plates for snack eating on the roadside or in the restaurants. Now they are biodegradable, which are made up of biomass, which can actually get degraded. That advancement has gone to the level where the biomass is being used to embed the motherboard for developing bio-based sensors, the nutrient sensors and all, because when they use metallic sensors, it is adding to the soil pollution. So now bio-based sensor, only the coin battery needs to be recovered, otherwise most of it's get degraded. So composting should be the last thing. When nothing is done, then biogas composting and biomethanation should be there.
Right.
Otherwise, valorization should be the first part. Then meshing it up and making biofibers is another very important thing. Then paper, pulping it up and making paper, one time use paper, is another very good economic output of the agri residues. And if we are
Right.
talking about tubers and fruits, then extracting the nutrient minerals, like I said, protein, patatin is the potato protein, and it is extracted from the co-streaming. But most of the time we just let it go like that, and that adds to the eutrophication in the ponds. Many of the carbohydrate B12 vitamins, which are water soluble, vitamin C can be extracted if it is co-streamed.
Right. Thank you. That was a very perfect and a very scientific response, I believe. And
Yeah,
I think that,
can I just add one thing to it?
yeah, sure,
Because
Ms. Vinisha.
what is happening these days is I am aware that many of our food grown, they do have alkaloids and other toxins and all that, especially the peels. And today, many of them, although it's very rich in fiber, it is not being used for animal feed, and one of them is the brinjal and potato peels and all that.
True.
Whereas there are other options, like they use these to make leather,
Mhm.
artificial leather. So it is just a question of, we should not have a one track mind. We have to explore various other options also. So when it is processed and made into leather goods, which again, in certain things where for skin it is not good, so you can't have those kind of leathers which it touches the skin. But there are these kind of options which are for various other things, like for mats and other uses, where you don't come directly in contact with it. So it is just the question of how to use it. And that is the idea, to explore various other options. They are
Thank you.
also making tiles out of it. So,
Yeah, in fact, my observation has been if you are poor and if you are creative, you are the best person to manage this waste.
waste.
I
Yeah.
think these are the people I have seen in villages, I have seen in many places, in even many laboratories with less facilities to work. They have come out with the best of
More
solutions,
creative. Yeah.
I
more creative.
totally
You
agree. I
should be
totally agree.
poor.
Out of the box thinking
Yeah, you should be
happens only
poor.
when
Not
you
that you
have.
all should be poor. If you are poor and creative, you have excelled in your field of managing food loss and wastage. But anyway,
Resourcefulness
with
make you
that
very
note,
innovative. Very true.
thank you. But with that note, what I would say is we had a very rich webinar with a nice keynote, very succinct keynote by Ms. Benisha, who said that everything, giving all credit to nature and how we have to learn from nature. And that is again a recycling of the concept of living, actually, as such, not only circular economy, a circular spirituality, in fact, you brought back in the concept. Finally, we had a very good presentation by Ms. Miyuki from Japan, who gave nice examples of what Japan is doing, followed by Kavya's own, like she is always very creative and she thinks beyond the box and gave a lot of suggestions. And one which I missed to highlight was on the financing part, if I remember now, which I
Yes.
think we do need to see how we influence the global financial institutions to come here.
Sir,
And
climate finance, we need a red flag from you.
no, that will be done with time. And finally, Ms. Sangunika, who tried to put us all back into the circular potential. And she has given that in the chat. Please see, please join so that we become a part of the whole system to minimize the food loss and wastage. So if you look at agriculture, we had been worried about impact of climate change on agriculture earlier. Now we are worried about impact of not only agriculture on climate change, but agri-food system on climate change. Agriculture was contributing 25% of greenhouse gas emission. If we take the whole agri-food system transformation, we have, because from food also now we are learning there is a lot of GHG, greenhouse
Yes.
gas emission.
Yeah.
So our objective as agriculturists is to minimize that. And we have listened to so many ways, so many things, which can be done at individual level, household level, community level, commercial level, at the farmers level. And Ms. Binisha highlighted right from production up to the distribution, transport, whole value chain. So we are very rich in knowledge. We should avoid wastage of the knowledge which we have and use it in the knowledge circular economy very well and try to see that we contribute our best. With that, I thank each and every speaker and those who have asked their questions, those who participated, and I will pass on to Deepika to give the closing words of the webinar. Deepika, over to you.
Thank you so much, sir. So now we are come up to conclusion for today's session. So I would like to express our sincere appreciation, our keynote speaker, Professor Vinisha, and after our esteemed panelists who given knowledgeful experience, and now Dr. Ravi Khetrapal sir for his leadership and moderation and always supporting us as a motivate us how to we can reduce the food loss waste, and all participants for active engagement and continuous support to the FLAW of community of practice. On the behalf of APARI and the Asia Pacific Community of Practice and Food Loss and Waste, thank you for joining us today. We would forward to look forward continuous participant in future and COP, and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you so much for joining us. See you next COP. Thank you so much, sir. And
Let
before
us,
going, we will take one group pictures. Don't go. So please
yeah.
open your cameras. We'll take group pictures.
And by the time we take a photo, what I was saying to my colleagues, food loss and wastage is flaw. But there are
Flaw.
so many flaws in the flaw. That is what we have to look at. It is full
Yes,
of
sir.
flaws in the system we are working, even if we look at the flaw. I
Please,
hope you
all
got the
participants,
message.
open
Yeah.
your camera so we'll take group pictures.
Sir,
Thank
I
you.
would be needing some time with you for developing that framework in
Sure.
due course. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
we
you.
will have a bilateral call to work on it. Surely.
Sure, sir.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
so
much.
much. Nice to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks a
you.
Thank
lot.
you.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you very much.
Thank you to
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.